Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commodity TV and a new edition of our online interview series. We want to talk to the real far away Argentina today, and we have Brad Nichol, the CEO of Alpha Lithium here. Hey, Brad, good morning actually to Argentina. How are you?
Yes, I'm great. Thanks, Jochen. You look fantastic, by the way.
Thank you very much. You too, and a little bit tired maybe because you guys have a ton of work on your Tolillar and Hombre Muerto projects. But before we get started, also I want to disclose that I'm a shareholder in the company, and you know I'm a real lithium bull, as I'm a big uranium bull and silver bull. But also lithium I love because we have way too less mines, and we need a lot of new mines within the next 10 years to really satisfy the supply. And I believe Alpha Lithium is one of the real top companies. So Alpha Lithium, we spoke, I think last year, it was October, probably the last time. So what's going on with the company? I mean, the M&A market is really big and really going on a lot of things. We come to that in a second. But first of all, let us know, like a short update, what's going on the projects.
Boy, I think an easier question to ask is what's not going on. We are so busy, and I don't mean that flippantly. We've actually had some people come up and visit us on the Solar, and they were on the Solar 8 months earlier. Another group of people were up there just over a year ago, and they were blown away with how much has been accomplished in such a short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
We have had 5 drilling rigs operating, so we're now up to 22 wells drilled, and those are exploration wells. So we've defined a massive freshwater source. That's a huge, I guess, accomplishment for the team.
Mm-hmm.
And also we've got our pilot plant running. I hope to get some pictures out, and you can see it's unbelievable how busy it is up there on the Solar, and how much we've been able to get done in such a short period of time. It's really amazing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, super. So the drills are still turning, so we can expect maybe some more results soon.
Yeah, I think the last well that we published some results in December.
Mm-hmm.
And it's trending right along with what we expected. We're kind of in that 350 milligram per liter range. And that's because we've, in a sense, that early stage exploration is behind us. We're now, I wouldn't even call it exploration. We're more fine tuning and starting to think about production. This is no longer a very early stage company. And we see that as we head into development. We're thinking about production. We're thinking, I mean, the pilot plant, for example, that's all the engineering on that is finished. We've got construction going on. We've built the foundations. It's quite a construction zone up there. And now we're already thinking, we've hired Alsenco to do our economic assessment there. We've divided that into 2 phases. The first phase is 25,000 tons per year. That's 25,000 tons of LC, and it will be lithium carbonate. And that first phase can be operating in late 2025. We've also planned a second phase, which is another 25,000 tons. So 50,000 tons would make us not the biggest, but certainly one of the biggest operators in all of Argentina. There are a lot of 25,000, 30,000, 35, even 40,000, but not many have gone to 50,000 tons. And clearly we're not there yet. There's a lot of work to be done before we get there, but that's what we're planning. And we're planning that because number one, we've got fresh water that nobody else has.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, we have the resource. We have an unbelievable 100% owned Solar, and it's super exciting, I'll tell you.
I believe that. I could imagine you said you have the freshwater. That means you own a freshwater aquifer by yourself, meaning you have 100% 24/7 access.
Well, yes, it's a great thing. I'm so proud of what the team has discovered. So let me explain. So what we actually have 3 aquifers that we believe we have 3 different aquifers, and 2 of them have been defined by drilling, and we've seen the fresh water. The third is what we did is what's called a freshwater recharge study. So we hired one of the top firms in the world, and they came in and they gathered all of the data for all of, in a sense, the rainfall, any precipitation, snow that melts and drains into this basin, and then it filters down into the aquifer. And so when they look at the basin, they only looked at one of the aquifers that we believe we have. And in that one area, which is kind of in the southern, I'll call it the southwestern part of the Salar, it's all on our land. We're the only operator in the area, and we're able to withdraw 583 cubic meters per hour of water. If you think about that, think about a cubic meter, one by one by one.
That's a lot.
Almost 600 of those every hour can come out. So it is a lot of water. It's more than enough to operate at a 50,000 ton per year plant. And that's what we have. And that's only one of the three. So, we're really super excited about fresh water. It's a large amount. It's very high quality. And number three is there's no competition for it.
Wow, fantastic. So, of course, fresh water is something which is very, very important. I would say even super important in one of the driest areas in the world, for sure, when you want to produce. So I could imagine that this raises, in addition to your fantastic projects, a lot of interest. I mean, if I look at the map, you have Ganfeng, POSCO, Rio Tinto around you. They paid a lot of money for those projects, but they are all smaller, maybe do not have the direct water access. I don't know that 100%, but I could imagine water is very hard to find. So don't you receive a lot of calls? I could imagine the M&A bell is ringing, right?
Well, I've said this before in press releases and when I've been speaking. It's no secret that after we walked away from the deal that we had ready to sign, that's actually a year ago, we walked away from that right at a time when a lot of those, you mentioned Ganfeng and Rio Tinto, they were acquiring assets in our with our next door neighbors, from our next door neighbors, so in our immediate area. And when you have that kind of activity in that area, and then we come out with, here's our property, and it's just as good, if not better in some ways than the others, then absolutely the phone starts to ring. And so I'm not shy about saying that. We've had a lot of inquiries, and we're trying to manage through that at the same time that we manage 5 drilling rigs, Hombre Muerto, Tolillar. We're looking at other acquisitions. We're looking at expanding. We're looking at getting into production. We're building a pilot plant. So I'm speaking quickly because there is just so much going on. It's a super exciting time, not only to be in this industry, but specifically to have the assets that we have. And I said it before, I really want to reinforce, this is not an early stage company anymore. And it changed so quickly. And that's something that's really hard to fathom until you come down here and you put a t-shirt on and you head up to the Salar. You really get a sense of just how advanced we are. And we're going to start talking about that a whole lot more in the press, and we're going to show people a lot more of the activity that's really going on.
Okay, super. So what we have spoken about is mostly, I think, Tolillar. What's going on at Hombre Muerto, your second project, which is not that advanced as Tolillar?
Yeah, that's right. So Hombre Muerto, obviously, well, I shouldn't say obviously, to a lot of people, it is the best, the highest quality. It's the best Salar in the world. That's what I say. Some people, if they know the industry and they know different players, they know that there's another I'll say little in quotes little. It's absolutely massive in Chile, and it's a fantastic Salar as well. But Chile, as we know, is a little bit difficult to operate in. Certainly for a junior to consider going to Chile and starting up and thinking about production, it's difficult. That's more driven by political reasons. You could say the same about Bolivia as well. Fantastic assets, but in Argentina you have Hombre Muerto. It has been producing for over 25 years now. It's the longest and largest and most pure salar that I've seen that operates or that exists in a country that you can operate in. Certainly as a junior, and obviously Livent, who's been producing for 25 years, a senior, a very mature company, and Livent is expanding. So it speaks to the quality of Hombre Muerto. It's you're able to drill. I mean, I'll use I'll use Livent's Phoenix project as an example. You're a very small number of wells. They have less than 5 wells producing. All of those wells are drilled below 100 meters, and less than 5 wells, they have 2 of them or so that are always on backup in case something happens. But for 25 years, they've been producing 25,000 tons per year from this asset with only 5 wells drilled at below 50 meters. So it speaks to the quality of the asset. And we're so happy to be moving in there and getting active there. So what we're doing now is a couple of things. Number one, we're trying to expand our position. I say only, we only have 5,000 hectares at the moment. We hope that to be successful in growing that. We've been working on that for a while. It's not easy. Certainly in this market, it's not easy to grow when valuations are up and people get excited by how much people are paying. Well, we don't want to be on the bad end of that. So we want to be able to acquire, but we definitely don't want to overpay.
No.
So we're being stingy on that. But we think we can add a whole bunch of land in Hombre Muerto. That gives us the best postcode in the best country, certainly the best asset in the world. So we're getting ready to move the drilling rigs. We're building roads. We're getting access ready. We're looking at location. We picked a location for a second camp because it's going to be so busy. We've already got 100 people in camp at Tolillar, which is only 8 kilometers or 10 kilometers away, depending on which road you take. But yeah, we need a second one in Hombre Muerto as well. So lots of activity.
Okay. Super. So how is the local support from the, let's say, local people, but also from the province? Because we saw Chile, especially Peru, we saw blocking of mines, we saw Panama with Panama Cobre from First Quantum. Yeah, they had a lot of problems, taxation, government, etc. What's the situation with your project?
Well, historically, you've got a country that is very open to foreign investment, and so whether it's accounting or tax, or there are several considerations set up at a federal level. The nice thing about Argentina is the provinces govern the mines, so I don't have to worry about what somebody living in say in Buenos Aires or in the southern part of Argentina thinks about my project. When they don't live there, they're not impacted by it. Maybe they have opposing views, or maybe they've read something that's completely irrelevant or mistaken. And in a sense, there's no negative effects on the project because it's governed locally. So it's really in the hands of the people that are affected by it. And I say affected because I mean that in a positive way. We've got such a fantastic relationship. There are 2 towns just 100 kilometers to the north. That's the nearest town. I say town, it's more like it's not even a village. It's about 60 people that live in the town of Pocitos. We have a fantastic relationship with them. We have some of them working on our project. They have a little hotel. They've got meal service there. It's a great intersection for highways and for pipelines. So Pocitos is important to us, but it's quite small. And we've got a great relationship there. The next biggest town is called San Antonio de los Cobres. That's about 120 kilometers to the east of Pocitos, so quite a long ways away from us. But that's a military town. There's a hospital, there's infrastructure, the hotels. And so that's quite a central hub for us as well. And we employ lots of local people. And we want those local communities to want us to do the work and to grow, because we want to help them grow, and we want to give jobs, and we want to build their communities. We don't just want big trucks rolling through and not stopping and not benefiting the local communities. Really important to me. And then aside from the local communities, we've got a provincial government that is huge supporters of growing this industry, because they know that the province of Salta can really benefit if it's done properly, and if companies grow properly with a local presence and local benefits, then everybody benefits from that. So a ton of support at the state level.
Yeah, super. Yeah, and I could imagine when you go in production, you will earn money, and then you are paying also local taxes. So that helps the province and the counties, and of course jobs. Yeah, that helps everybody, right?
Well, I'm not an economist, but I did an MBA at a fancy school years ago, and the one thing that stood out for me was there are three drivers of GDP, and it's essentially call it state government spending, it's company spending, and it's consumer spending. So you've got government, companies, and people. All three of those are the best way, or the only way actually, to contribute to GDP growth. And so we don't get to control government spending, but just like you point out, they'll collect taxes and they'll spend that on building infrastructure, whether it's roads or power lines or water or whatever. Exactly, all of that.
Schools.
Companies like mine are now spending, and we're employing people. And the more people we employ, well, then you start to impact that call it local spending and consumer spending. And so that's exactly what we want.
Perfect. Last question, and that's more a general question, because you are a future, not too distant future, lithium producer. How do you rate now, let's say, the little correction I would call down from $85,000 a ton LCE down to approximately $62,000, $63,000 a ton?
Yeah, it's good for the headlines, or maybe bad for the headlines, depends on if you're where you sit. But ultimately, I'll talk about, say, the Ausenco process that we have going on. They're looking at, doing this economic assessment for us. Well, we have an internal model. We're modeling the production and all the costs and the revenue from 25 and then another 25 to 50,000 tons per year. That's over a 40-year period. Nobody builds a mine that has a 40-year life and says, what's the price today? They don't care, in a sense. What we care, what's the price going to be over the long term, over the next 40 years? And that is more about where's the cost curve? In order to meet the demand, what type of production is going to come online? We know that lepidolite is one of the most expensive ways to produce lithium. There aren't many that are doing it. We've read stuff about it with China having to shut down because of environmental problems and issues like that, where they produce it. But ultimately, that high end of the cost curve will define where the price is. And that's the price that's going to go into your financial model and determine what your NPV is. And I can tell you, I can't talk about numbers, or the exchange will get upset with me, but we will be able to in a couple of months when Ausenco is finished. But we use in our forecast, our long-term forecast, a very, very conservative number. I'll tell you, the number is $18,500 US. That's our long-term price.
That's super conservative.
Super conservative, and I can't wait for Ausenco to finish so I can actually start talking about the results of that model, because it'll blow your mind.
Super, I love. Yeah, please blow my mind. Would be great. Fantastic. Well, Brad, thank you very much for the update. Great talking to you, and I'm a happy shareholder. Anyhow, that's fantastic. And my feeling is still that some more people want to knock on your door, because we see what's going on in the market. Make sure we get the highest price possible, please. Think on the shareholders.
Absolutely. Well, I'm one of the bigger ones too. So
exactly.
So your shareholders and you, it benefits me, and you name it, right? Everybody benefits. So we're trying to do the best we can.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you very much. I wish you all the best, and please keep us posted and updated hopefully soon with lots more positive news.
Absolutely.
Super. Thank you very much. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Brad Nichol, the CEO of Alpha Lithium. You heard it. A ton of things are going on. The company is drilling. 5 rigs are moving forward, and we will hopefully have within the next weeks and months some further good results. And I could imagine that maybe by the end of the year, maybe beginning of next year, there will be a new resource estimate. Also, you heard it. Ausenco is working on an economic study. That's also very important, because then we have something written on paper with conservative estimates. What is this project Tolillar really worth? Hombre Muerto needs a bit more work, of course, but I think the most important thing is they're in the right place, right province, and they have access to water. And this is the super important thing when you are working in one of the driest areas in the world. And I think the management so far has done a great job. That's why I'm a shareholder of the company. Check it out. Thanks for watching us, and bye-bye from Switzerland.